Haha, you thought we were doing the G-Wagon. Nope, it's Hyundai Kona time. This is the second generation Hyundai Kona, and it's brand new for 2024. Now, the interesting part about this Kona is that Hyundai thought about it a little bit differently. When they designed this car, they actually put all their efforts in making this electric and then putting a gasolina motor inside it versus the other way around with every other manufacturer. So today we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about the front, the side, the back. We're gonna jump in the interior, we're gonna take it for a rip and let you know our opinions on it. Let's go. In the 2024 Hyundai Kona, normally you'd get a 2-liter that makes 147 horsepower and 132 pound-feet of torque, but not in this all-wheel drive version. This is a 1.6 that makes 190 horsepower and 195 pound-feet of torque. Of course, it is turbocharged. This is not the EV version. This is the gasolina. So I will put this thing in sport mode, foot on the ground. How fast do we got? Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Everything's falling, my cell phone's flying. That's how fast this thing is. Let's go. All right, 7.36 is what we got out of this thing. Can we go a little bit faster? Possibly, but whether it's 7.1 or 7.3, it doesn't really matter. What matters is how the build quality is of this refreshed second generation 2024 Hyundai Kona. Front seat of the Hyundai Kona. End line. Solid door. Listen to that one more time. Yes. Okay, so let's start off with the door panel. Very, very basic. They have this material on the trim portion of it, and it feels like the vinyl of the seat. Very, very basic. Now, all the buttons are exactly how I like it in these types of vehicles. Very big, very easy to read. Even if you just got your driver's license, you know nothing about cars, you know how to operate every button in here. You've got these massive 12.3-inch dual screens. One is, of course, touch, and the other one is, of course, fixed for the driver. There's this red outline in the vents that slide across on the bottom portion here and the upper portion, and they're also in these seats, which I might say are fairly comfortable. They have N on them for N line. The HVAC controls and the sound system controls and some of the infotainment buttons are all very easy to use. It's just so crazy how straightforward these buttons are, and for that I have to commend brands like this. They're just pushing very easy and clean. Now, because this was originally built first for EV and electric, there is no shifting down here. It's actually right in this position, which is the same as all their electric cars that they have on sale today. It's all done over here on the stock, just underneath the wiper stock. 3-spoke steering wheel. There's no Hyundai badge. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice and cute. You do have a perforation on the steering wheel. It does have red stitching, and you do have the N on the bottom, letting everybody in the car know that this is no regular Kona. This is an N line. You got a ton of space here and some tech pieces here too. Take a look. You have 2 USB-Cs as well as a wireless charger, and you have a cigarette lighter that's hidden nicely tucked away. There you have your different drive modes, and you have a lock. You can actually lock something. This is a Kia Kona. Kidding, it's a Hyundai Kona. You thought you'd get me on that one. On the left and on the right, you have your heated and ventilated seats, as well as your heated steering wheel. You've got 2 increments for your steering wheel and 3 increments for your seats. Then, of course, you have auto brake hold and then your rear camera when I hit this button. Lots of space in the center. You do have a way to tuck away your 2 cup holders and create more space. When I lift up this armrest, I do have a little bit of a storage cubby here, but it's cool because it's not one specific focused armrest with the glove box, it's sort of open, so I can reach the glove box from around here. I don't have to lift this up to adjust the glove box. Now, the one thing I would have liked to see them do is to be able to slide this armrest backwards and forwards, because when I'm driving, this arm kind of doesn't have anything to lean over to because this armrest is too short. Now, when you get the N line, you get these fancy sport seats along with these aluminum pedals and dead pedal. Now, I'm not sure if we get this little tiny sill with the checkered flags if you get the N line or not. This is the only Kona that we've had our hands on, so I don't know if that comes standard or not if you buy the regular one and not the N line. Back seat of the Hyundai Kona. Now let's put this seat down to show you how this looks like. This is a raised rear fold down seat. It's not the same height as the back trunk. They're similar. It does have a little bit of a ledge here, so you can kind of slide the stuff up if you are pushing it from the back trunk into this rear seat. It does have a little bit of height difference, just to let you know. It feels like a very, very solid seat though. It's not cheap feeling whatsoever. Now, getting into the back, very easy. I will say that these doors open up really wide. It doesn't open up till here like most cars. It opens up really wide, almost 90 degrees. That's a good thing to bring up. Now, jumping in the back here, good seat height. When I get in, I'm 5'9". Look how much room I have, a ton of room. Anybody 6'2" or so should fit in here, no problem. Now, other things to note. When I bring this down here, I do have 2 cup holders here. As far as storage goes back here, there's a small storage space in the door, but that's really for big bottles or so. There is storage right here. I have 2 USB-Cs. I do have a little bit of a netting behind the passenger seat, nothing behind the driver's seat. I do have this red stitching because this is an N line. I do have some map lighting up there. And in the center, I do have a little bit of a bump because this is all-wheel drive. Again, this is the only Kona we've had, so I cannot tell you if this bump doesn't exist if you get the EV version. Now, we have reviewed the Kona N. This is the N line. That was the last generation. This is the new second generation. Now, you do have this LED bar that flows all the way on the whole front end, from end to end, from the corner of the front fenders all the way through the center and around the corner again. You have the massive Hyundai badge. This is not an EV, this is a gas, so there's obviously no frunk in this one. Moving down from there, a lot of roundness going on. You do have this matte, sort of dark gray finish that sort of leads up to the center front camera. Then underneath that, you have a lot of piano black, but you have something unique that we saw in the Ioniq 6, and that's these active grille shutters right here. There are 2 of them. Then you have a lot more piano black and with Parktronic side to side. You do have your radars hiding underneath there, and then you have this sort of scratchy, durable plastic that's nowhere to be found on the front except right on the bottom. Now, when you look at this vehicle, it's very round at the top front half here until you move into the headlights and high beams. So the top one is a headlight, underneath is a high beam, and then you have 3 individual LEDs. Those are for your turn signals or hazard lights, of course, then you have them all the way around. And then you have these little canards on the front to sort of give it that extra edge. So the edging happens all at the bottom here, and on the top here is very, very round. To the side, if you're wondering how much larger this Hyundai Kona is than the last generation, this is almost 6 inches longer in total length from a wheelbase perspective, which means from this N in the center of this wheel to the N of the center of the back wheel, it's 2.3 inches longer. So you have more cabin space. It's just a larger car overall. It's also 1 inch wider and 1 inch taller than the previous generation. You have 19-inch wheels with these zigzag cutting shapes design, which is what this whole car represents when you look at it from the side. This is an N line, so you do have sporty features, but take a look at this. You have the shoulder line, then you have a cut right there and a cut right here, just a lot of cutting shapes going on. But the other dynamic to look at is the color contrast. You have black on the top, which sort of starts at this mirror with the camera, of course, and the LED turn signal. But here is all black, and you have a black or a satin black roof rail that is legitimately not plastic. Yep, it ain't plastic. And it all meets together right back here where you have this spoiler to sort of pull it together. The one thing I will say though is that this looks like a sporty hatchback. Sporty, small, compact hatchback, but it's not compact anymore. It gives you all the pieces of a sport compact, but it ain't one anymore. Now, as we move along the side, this does have multi-link rear suspension because it is all-wheel drive. And because it is an N-line, you have this ultra-aggressive rear spoiler. This is a new definition of a shopping cart spoiler. You do have a third brake light that's small and cute, specifically designed right in between that spoiler. And then you have a huge rear glass window with a wiper right there. And to match the front, instead of being white, it is red all the way around. This looks very, very Range Rover-ish, very premium. This LED bar is money. Then you have the Kona. I like how it's spaced out there. And of course, when I look underneath there, there is going to be a rear camera. Then you have this bumper that's very flared out, very sporty, again, very N of Hyundai. And then on the outside of it, to widen the car again, that is where you have all your lighting. Your brake lights, of course, your reverse lights, and your indicators. Now moving right down, you'll see, because this is an N line, you have these exhaust tips. Take a look at the design of the tips and let me know in the comments, would you add these to your 911? Now you can get the Kona with available smart power tailgate. This one is manual, however, you don't need it to be power when you're opening it up. Very easy and light. So how much room do we have? As far as depth go, we have 33 inches. As far as width goes, we have 42.5. And for height, well, that's up to you. What about under this load floor? How much storage is there? Because I only have a little bit of storage on this side. It is pretty wide though and deep for a car this small, or at least supposedly supposed to be this small. Look how much room we have. We have actually a space for a spare tire. There is no spare tire in this, but I do have a dual load floor. And what I mean by this is, yes, there we go, right there. So it just drops this load floor so I can put stuff in it that's taller. And I can put up to 60 kilograms or 130 pounds worth of stuff on this load floor. And as far as folding the seats down, well, you can see it is a 60-40 split, and it cannot be folded down from here. That's normal in these cars this size. You have to actually walk around, pull it, and then fold the seats down. You can't do it from the back. In typical Hyundai fashion, it feels very solid from a steering perspective. I love all these big buttons. Nothing simplifies my life than looking at Hyundai buttons. Good visibility, seats are fairly firm, a little bit of squishy padding behind my lower back that I can push in and out of. All right, doing 60 miles an hour. Let's do my favorite thing to do in this brand, and that is keep me in my lane, put my cruise control on, press 2 buttons, let go of everything, keep my lane, steering on, and don't do a damn thing. And this is where these cars excel, in absolutely this. Everything else could be not so great about any of this product, and it's good because they really pack it with a lot of value, but having this access, not touching anything, setting your cruise control and just doing its thing is amazing. And I can go outside the lane, back in the lane, just to avoid that biker there, and again I let go. I don't have to press any buttons to put things back on, and none of that stuff. It's all done by hitting the cruise control button and the keep in your lane button. It just does such a good job, and there's no line on the right side of what's in front of me. It's simply just a yellow line in the middle, and it's just gravel on that side. Most cars would just kind of weave off the lane, or even my Tesla, without spending that extra money on full self-driving. It doesn't have this flexibility of this long. Every like 10 seconds it bugs me to put my hand on the wheel. And this one, it does, but it just gives you a small little indicator. And then if you don't, you ignore it for a bit, it'll just kind of like, you know, be assertive and be like, hey, do you mind putting your hand on the steering wheel? That's what it does. It's polite. I love that. Now, if you're curious on price, this Kona N-Line in the US is around 32 USD. So let's say you don't want to buy the gas version, you want to buy the EV version. What are the options? Well, there's 2 battery sizes. There's a little battery that's about 48 or 49 kilowatts, and then you get the bigger one that's 64 kilowatts. Now, what kind of range can you get? You can get about 260 miles worth of range when you buy the bigger battery to get you from A to B. Now, obviously, I find range very, different in terms of what you can get based on how much gas you press. Obviously, the flatness of the road, those type of things, temperature outside. So it's kind of a generalized number, but even at 200 miles, that's still really good range for anybody in daily use. But if you're still not on the EV bandwagon, well, that's why they make this. This has all got the EV pieces in it, but it's obviously combustion engine, so it is gas. And then you get 2 choices in that. So I like the flexibility and all the different powertrains available in the Kona. So you're not just stuck to one and forced to buy one, and they drop everything else. So I kind of like how they offer you 3 different, choices, or I guess 4 different choices if you consider the 2 electric batteries. And on that note, thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.